I have had a spare room in this house for 11 years. 11 years of it holding exactly 3 things. A treadmill I use as a coat rack, a box of Declan's old trophies he refuses to collect, and my own guilt every time I walk past it. For 11 years I told myself that room was for when the grandkids visit. The grandkids visit twice a year. That is a very expensive way to store a treadmill. Then Mier, who has never once in her life kept an opinion to herself, said something that actually stuck. She said, "Connie, you complain about money and you're sitting on an empty bedroom like it's the Ark of the Covenant. Rent the thing." I did not love hearing that. I loved even less that she was right, so I looked into it. Not Airbnb exactly. I wasn't ready to have strangers wandering my hallway at 2 a.m, but a midterm rental, a traveling nurse, a visiting professor, someone here for 8 or 10 weeks who wants a real room instead of a hotel. Turns out there is real demand for that. Turns out people will pay quite well for a clean room, a quiet street, and a woman who won't bother them. I said yes to the first booking before I could talk myself out of it. A woman named Priya, here for a work assignment. Very tidy, very polite, gone most of the day. Best guest I never had to entertain. 2 months later, I looked at what that room had brought in, and I did the thing I never let myself do. I didn't put it toward the roof. I didn't put it toward Declan's something or other. I booked a flight to Quebec City. Now why Quebec City? Because for years I have watched people post photographs of cobblestones and old stone walls and little cafes, captioned "Feels like Europe," and I have thought, well, I am from actual Europe. I don't need to pretend. And then I looked at flight prices to Ireland versus flight prices to Quebec, and I thought, Connie, pride doesn't pay for baggage fees. So there I was, landing in a city that is technically still Canada, still uses the same money as everywhere else here, and yet the second I stepped out of that airport, I did not understand a single word being said around me. Not one. I speak the Queen's English and a bit of stubborn Cork, and neither one prepared me for a taxi driver speaking rapid French while I nodded like I understood, which I did not. I checked into a little hotel inside the old walled city, and I want you to picture me, a 60-something Irish woman, standing in front of a bakery, pointing at a pastry like a toddler, saying, "That one, please, that one," because I could not for the life of me pronounce what it was called. The woman behind the counter smiled at me the way you smile at someone's confused dog. Kindly, but firmly aware I was lost. I got lost twice trying to find the same church. I ordered what I thought was soup, and got something closer to a stew that could have stood a chair up in it. I apparently complimented a street musician's hat in a way that, according to a very amused bystander, actually meant something about his mother. I don't know what I said. I don't want to know what I said. And I loved every single confused minute of it. Here is the thing about being properly lost in a place, at properly my age. You stop performing competence. Nobody there knew me as reliable Connie, sensible Connie, the one who always has a plan. I was just a woman with a map held upside down, and somehow that was freeing. I sat by the river one evening, stew that could stand a chair up, still sitting heavy in me, and I thought about that spare room back home. How for 11 years it sat there costing me money to simply exist, and how 2 months of letting someone else use it paid for a week of me standing in front of a bakery pointing at things like a lost toddler. That's the actual lesson, if there is one. Money doesn't have to sit still just because you're frightened of what might happen if it moves. That room wasn't sentimental. It was just empty. I was the one making it complicated. I've already got Priya's replacement booked for the autumn, and I've already started looking at where that money's taking me next. Somewhere I definitely won't understand the menu. If you've got a room, a garage, a bit of space quietly costing you money to do nothing, I'd love to hear what you do with it if you finally let it earn its keep. Tell me in the comments. I go through every one, usually with tea, usually a bit smug about my spare room.